Never-ending audio presents Otherlands. Hello and welcome to Otherlands Science Fiction and Fantasy, the podcast that introduces you to new speculative fiction authors. Come back every week for more great science fiction from people you may never have heard from. This week, we are reading a short story by John F. Keane, the author of an anthology of science fiction stories he's been putting together since 2008, finally released last year. Spanning a range of different science fiction genres, his stories are characterised by floral prose that paints a vivid picture of the worlds his characters inhabit and challenging ideas that are not immediately apparent. Taken from his anthology, this story on the surface appears to be a cautionary tale espousing the old adage, "Be careful what you wish for," but it raises interesting questions about corporate irresponsibility and the perils of being unwilling to regulate technology. So, without further ado, on with the story. Dream Lover by John F. Keane. Men! A bunch of strutting creeps with third eyes in their pants. How she hated them! Men were disgusting with their flat feet and their treachery, their lies and their arrogance. Miss Zara DeVue studied her ageing reflection with horror. The greying strands, the sagging skin, the gathering lines. They scourged her very soul. How had she, once the most superb of women, come to this? It was time. That dread element, unseen and everywhere, that laid these whips upon her. Zara tried to picture time. An old man with a scythe? No, that would not do. Time was a thief in the night. He came and departed unseen, with all your treasures in his bottomless bag. And he came again and again, snatching more and more, and at the very last, he took your life. Sighing deeply, Zara turned from the mirror. Why did they hang them in foyers? They made her feel exposed. Once, young men caught their breath whenever she passed. Once, she trod on flowers amidst a perfume haze, admiration her constant companion. No longer. The first grey strands had appeared in her mid-20s, a source of some amusement at first, but by 30 they had a foothold on her scalp like rapacious invaders. Then the first line appeared, a crease under her left eye. Soon the carefree days of her youth seemed like someone else's life, almost another age, sealed forever in golden amber. Oh, for those vanished days. Zara pressed the green button, and the elevator opened. Within, a bellboy in purple livery eyed her impassively. "Which floor, madam?" 1958. "Right away, madam." As they bulleted through darkened space, Zara considered the boy. Once, when she was 20, she could have seduced him with a smile. How fickle men were, how easily gulled by mere appearances. Once they courted her like a goddess, today they hardly noticed her. One time, in a fit of instantly regretted rage, she rounded on one disinterested young fellow, shrieking, "I used to be a stunner, you know!" But he hurried away, casting fearful glances at the dangerous madwoman. What a display! And in public, too. The bell rang, the door opened to reveal a long marble corridor lined with potted palms. Her heels echoed as she sought the correct door. And there it was, Daniel P. McGuire, Virtual Life Systems Incorporated. She knocked once, and instantly a salesman with dazzling dentures and a preposterous quiff was pumping her hand. "Miss Devoe, come in, do take a seat." His passion was infectious. Like all great salesmen, he wove an illusion of lifelong intimacy with a few words. Zara flopped into the luxuriant swivel chair he proffered, disarmed by his charm. Maguire deftly poured her a glass of water and resumed his seat. "Now, Miss Devoe, I understand you are interested in our manbots?" Zara nodded, saying nothing, but her mind whirled like a propeller. She remembered finding Lance, her third husband, in bed with her sister Caroline, and Hector, what a waster he was, gambled her out of her house and home near enough. Men were her problem, and her addiction, but this might be a way out. "As you know," Maguire explained, "virtual life systems are world leaders in producing human-compatible androids. Our manbots resemble real men, except they are loyal, attentive, and obedient. Behold." The salesman clapped his thick hands. A door opened behind him, and an imposing figure emerged from his private office. The manbot was not unlike the young Montgomery Clift, but more rugged, chiselled, tanned, almost impossibly handsome. His body was rangy and strong, without a hint of excess muscle. His eyes were dark, brimming with worlds of tenderness. It was everything she wanted in a man. "What do you think?" asked Maguire evenly. He's absolutely perfect. I'd like some blonde highlights in his hair, though." "No problem. His appearance will morph to match your desires. Give it a few days." Zara was intrigued. Maguire shot her a confident smile, already certain of the deal. His next words were beautifully modulated, both factually and poetically, the perfect pitch. "This 58 model is equipped with psionic sensors that scan your thoughts for romantic preferences. He then adapts to those preferences, conscious and subconscious. Your pleasure is his passion, you might say." Maguire's flawless teeth gleamed in a winning smile. He had drawn her into his world. That was how top salesmen worked, she knew. After all, her first husband was one. God, what a bastard Frank had been, all those damned affairs. Frank Wainwright, egotistical, puerile, narcissistic, and full of that roving lust that made men so insufferable. Why had women been cursed to endure such creatures? "I'll take him," she said, her voice sounding remote, like the voice of another. "Splendid," Maguire exclaimed, reaching across his teak desk to shake her manicured hand. "As I said, the VL-58 is programmed to respond to your deepest yearnings. In fact, he probes your psionic patterns to determine which modes of erotic endeavour will best satisfy you. If you're a sadist," and Maguire chuckled here, "he will become submissive. If you are authoritarian, he will become compliant, and so on with every sexual tick, preference, or perversion his owner might have." Zara was intrigued and delighted. All this was music to her ears. A man who actually listened and obeyed. What a revelation! "Is it loyal?" "Loyal, madame? Why, he is programmed to think only of you. No stray thought will ever cross his mind. You will become his hobby, no, his obsession, in a matter of days." "Will it age?" "Age, madame? Of course not. Your VL-58 will remain in his prime until death parts you." "And what then?" Zara eyed Maguire's discomfiture with wry amusement. The salesman recovered quickly, though, like a hawk in a gale. "Oh, he'll be recycled in our workshop. But let's think of your life together. For as the years go by, your relationship will grow in depth and intimacy. He will become ever more responsive to your needs, a dream lover, if you will. A dream lover, yes, that was what she wanted. How much? How much is it? Maguire consulted his paperwork. The rental service is $800 a month for 2 years, with a $50,000 down payment, non-refundable, I'm afraid. Zara signed a cheque, handing it over. Maguire's sharp Hibernian features lit up, almost devilishly. Thank you, madame, he said, pocketing the cheque. Suppose I have problems. Maguire looked suddenly furtive. Problems? What kind of problems? I don't know. Any kind. The salesman leant back in his chair, his fingertips pressed carefully together. Mr. Vaux, take it from me, you will have no problems with your new purchase. He is designed only to provide satisfaction. In fact, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Now, if that's everything, I must bid you a good day. On the way to her Bentley, the VL-58 strode ahead and held the door for her. She liked that. So refreshingly chivalrous. Then Zara realised with a start that her new purchase was starting to detect her wants and preferences. She liked that too. She dwelt in a rural suburb, in spacious grounds guarded by security gates and electrified fences. Within, a tree-lined drive wound through landscaped gardens to a vast bungalow replete with pools, libraries and observatories. The mansion de Vaux, raised in her own image from lucrative hairdressing patents. Leaving the car to its own devices, Zara led her new toy into the spacious lounge. The walls were slow-glass panels that overlooked her private forest. As they entered, the day's trapped light began slow release. Outside, strange birds with lizard tails and teeth genetically modified for these ancient traits fled startled into the woods. Zara reclined on a vast divan and kicked off her shoes. The man-bot brought her an exotic cocktail, perfectly mixed. He learned fast. As Zara sipped idly, she pondered his lack of conversation. Was he faulty, or was he just conforming to her unconscious desires? Come here! He did so, like a panther. Sit down there, beside me. Now, what should I call you?
Whatever you wish, madame. I live only to serve.
His voice was deep and rich, yet refined. Exactly as she preferred. I shall call you Alexander, I think. Yes, Alexander. Alexander was her favourite historical personage, after Brad Pitt, of course. Alexander, do you know what I want? He grinned knowingly, almost conspiratorially.
You want a dream lover, madame. Right now, in fact.
Then get started, she said, a trifle snappily. I'm not paying $800 a month just to look at you. So he got started, and it was true. Everything he did was perfect. Her deepest needs were satisfied, completely satisfied, in every way. A drop of his sweat fell like a gleaming star to explode on her throbbing breast, and the years fell from her like a snake's skin, so that she felt young and beautiful once more. For 3 hours he made urgent love to her. His kisses were kind but forceful. His fingers were strong and sensitive, like a master sculptor's shaping clay. When they were done, he made her another cocktail, without being asked. Zara felt good as she felt at 16, when time was with her and the future seemed a long, wide road of infinite bliss. We never had to take them seriously, did we, Alexander?
No, he said. We never had to.
She was taken aback. How could he have read Atlas Shrugged? And then she remembered. He had read her deepest thoughts, provided the answer she wished to hear. For 2 weeks they were inseparable. They strolled together through her private grounds, playing and talking and laughing. And she removed all mirrors from the mansion de Vaux, that the illusion might endure. Zara's man-bot thrilled her to the marrow. She wanted him more and more, and he obliged her. By now, his sensitivity to her needs had reached Casanovian levels. Her every whim was detected and probed with matchless skill. She revelled in her good fortune. $800 a month for eternal youth and boundless joy. Then, one night, a disconcerting thing happened. Zara was wakened by sounds of domestic destruction. She groped blindly for Alexander, but he was gone from her bed. Heart hammering, she pulled on her dressing gown and stealthily followed the fractious noises. In the kitchen, Alexander had overturned a costly Victorian dresser and was gleefully smashing the porcelain plates it once housed against a wall. Zara gaped with genuine amusement. "Alexander, what are you doing?" He turned to her, smiling oddly.
You hate it. This is what you want.
And it was true. The dresser was a gift from Frank, her first husband. Every time she saw it, it reminded her of him, and her mind shrieked. Alexander was just responding to these thoughts. Dark terror gripped her. She suddenly felt a stranger to herself. What other destructive messages swirled through her unconscious? Zara rang Maguire in his office at 9:02 the next morning. In sharp, short words, she explained the problem. Maguire sighed audibly, which angered her. "He smashed a few plates. God, I thought it was serious. Look, Miss DeVoe, that's what he's programmed for, to satisfy your deepest desires. I admit we've had a few problems. Some ladies have dangerous fantasies. We can't legislate for odd preferences." "I know all that," she pleaded. "The problem is, he's just too damn good. I'm frightened of myself, of what I really want." "You can always send him back," offered Maguire. "The deposit remains with us, of course." "I'll think about it." Zara hung up. The problem was, apart from the money, she was deeply attached to Alexander. His attentions had made her feel young again, and that was a priceless gift. She would give her man-bot 1 more week to see how the pieces fell. "Alexander! Alexander!" She searched the mansion, then the grounds. The little bird reptiles fled before her as she called, but he was nowhere to be found. Exhausted by her efforts at last, she collapsed on her favourite divan, the one where they had first made love all those weeks ago, and then Zara DeVoe slept and dreamed. She dreamt she was walking alone through a dark, deserted city. Rain slicked the endless streets, and lights flashed without sound. Zara was lost. Lost and hopeless, in a maze of dreadful night. Rasping, metallic sounds snatched her awake. She was hanging upside down from a crystal chandelier, her hands and feet securely bound. Her mouth had been carefully gagged with her floral headscarf.
It's what you want, beloved,
whispered Alexander, his lips nuzzling her ear.
You know it, and I know it.
Zara strained against the gag, to no avail. She writhed in her bonds, but remained a prisoner, and then she saw the knives in his hands. 2 carving knives from her kitchen set, with deadly points and edges. His eyes were so soft, his smile so tender. He kissed her withered lips, and all her fears dissolved. Yes, it was what she wanted, and this truth sustained her as he drove both blades through her fluttering heart. That was Dream Lover by John F. Keane, read by Jasper Brownrigg. For more writings by John Keane, check out the description below. And for more short stories, the Neverending Audio Patreon at www.patreon.com/neverendingaudio.